king at the peak of his power. A father to one of history's greatest conquerors. A single dagger that changed the course of history forever. This is the story of Philip II of Macedon, a ruler who built an empire only to be struck down in the most unexpected way. But was this murder an act of personal revenge? Or was there a greater plot? A conspiracy involving his own family, his generals, and even foreign spies? Join us as we unravel the chilling mystery of the assassination of Philip II, an event that paved the way for the rise of Alexander the Great. Before his murder, Philip II was the most powerful ruler in the Greek world. He had transformed Macedonia from a weak kingdom into an unstoppable force. But with power came enemies, some close, some far, and some within his own family. Philip's military genius made others feared. He crushed Athens, Thebes, and Sparta. He planned to invade the mighty Persian Empire. But his growing ambition also created dangerous enemies. Among his rivals, his allies, and even his own wife, Olympias. Philip had outmaneuvered every external enemy, but he had underestimated the danger lurking within his own home. Philip's personal life was as turbulent as his military campaigns. He had many wives, but none were as influential as Olympias, the mother of Alexander the Great. When Philip married a younger woman, Cleopatra Eurydice, Olympias was furious. Her position and her son's future was suddenly at risk. At a banquet, Cleopatra's uncle Attalus insulted Alexander, calling him half-barbarian, a direct insult to Olympias. The enraged Alexander stood up, confronting his father. Drunk and furious, Philip nearly attacked his own son. Was this the moment that sealed Philip's fate? Had Olympias and Alexander begun plotting his death? The man who would kill Philip was not an outsider, nor a mercenary hired by foreign enemies. He was Pausanias of Orestis, a member of Philip's royal bodyguard, a man sworn to protect him. So why did he turn against the very king he once served? Pausanias had once been one of Philip's most trusted men, but something changed. A deep humiliation, a betrayal, and perhaps a quiet whisper of encouragement from the shadows. Philip did nothing to punish Attalus. Some say this broke Pausanias. Did he act alone, driven by personal vengeance? Or was he a pawn set in motion by someone with greater ambitions? On the surface, it was one man's revenge, but beneath, the roots of conspiracy ran deep. October 336 BC. The day had arrived. A grand wedding in Aegae, the heart of Macedonia. A day of celebration, but also a day of fate. Philip had never been more powerful. His enemies in Greece had been crushed. His army was ready to march on Persia. But at this moment of victory, he made one fatal mistake. He let his guard down. He wanted to show his people that he was untouchable, that he needed no protection, that he was the master of his own fate. He was wrong. As Philip stepped forward, basking in the cheers of his people, death was already approaching. The blade plunged into Philip's chest. The world seemed to stop. Philip staggered, his breath ragged. For a moment he did not fall. His eyes searched the crowd. Was it for his wife, his son, a final realization before darkness claimed him. Then the great king of Macedonia collapsed. The conqueror of Greece lay dead at the feet of his people. Pausanias turned to flee, but he never made it far. He tried to rise, but before he could speak, before he could name his reasons or his accomplices, he was struck down, cut to pieces by the very men who once stood beside him. With Philip II dead, Macedonia was thrown into uncertainty. But one man acted faster than anyone else, Alexander. At just 20 years old, he was now the heir, but his claim to the throne was not secure. He was only half Macedonian by blood, and there were many who doubted his right to rule. To secure his power, he did what was necessary, and what was necessary was blood. Philip's death had left behind other heirs, rivals to Alexander's throne. Among them was Cleopatra Eurydice, Philip's most recent wife, and her young daughter, a child of full Macedonian blood, a potential threat. They did not live long. Within days of Philip's assassination, Cleopatra Eurydice and her daughter were executed. Some say they were burned alive. Others whisper that Olympias, Alexander's mother, personally oversaw their murder, ensuring no pure Macedonian heir could challenge her son. But they were not the only ones who stood in Alexander's way. Two Macedonian princes, potential successors to Philip, also found themselves on the wrong side of history. They too were eliminated. Their deaths sent a clear message: Macedonia had one king and one king only. And yet, the bloodshed did not stop there. Across Macedonia, rebel factions rose up, believing they could take advantage of the chaos. They were mistaken. Alexander crushed them without hesitation, destroying entire sects that refused to recognize him as king. This was not just a succession, it was a purge. By the time the dust settled, Alexander's rule was absolute. His enemies lay dead, and his throne was secure. He was no longer the son of Philip. He was Alexander the Great. And now, with Macedonia firmly in his grasp, he turned his gaze to the east. His father had dreamed of conquering Persia. Alexander would make it a reality. The greatest empire in history was about to be born, but it had been built on blood. Philip's murder was not the end of a dynasty. It was the beginning of an empire. But was it fate? Or was it part of a well-crafted plan? Was Alexander's rise to power merely destiny fulfilling itself? Or was it the result of a carefully executed